Hello, and welcome to the Consumer Toolbox. I'm your host, Milagros Johnson, and I'm the Director of the Mayor's Office of Consumer Information in Springfield. We are a local consumer program funded by and working in cooperation with the Massachusetts Attorney General's Office. We serve consumers of Hannah County and parts of Worcester County. Our program's mission is to provide you, the consumer, with the necessary tools to make informed decisions. We strive to educate you on your consumer rights and prevent you from becoming a victim of a scam or fraud. Each month, we bring to you a local guest speaker who will share his or her expertise and further enrich you with consumer knowledge. Our motto is education is the best prevention, and the Consumer Toolbox gives you the tools you need to become a savvy consumer. I hope you stay and watch. Well, today I have with me Officer Mike Wilk from the Chicopee Police Department. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Well, you know, we've been really busy in our office, and I know you have too, because you have a very great Facebook account and Twitter, and you follow us on Twitter, and
Yes.
I'm constantly retweeting your office as well. So you can talk about that in a few moments, but first I want to talk about the kind of scams that we've been hearing recently, and I want to share ours and see if they compare to yours and what you're hearing about that we're not hearing about. So
Sure.
we want to empower consumers, as I said in the introduction.
Right.
So this week I have spent hours on the telephone receiving phone calls from consumers who have been receiving phone calls from perhaps a tax identity theft, not tax identity theft, someone who's claiming that they owe a tax bill.
Right.
And consumers are afraid, and I don't blame them. They're being threatened of being arrested. The threats are also to have someone come to their job. I mean, it's just ridiculous, and consumers are definitely in fear. What are you hearing about, and what advice would you give our consumers?
Well, the first thing that I would like to say is anytime anybody gets a phone call from someone claiming to be from a credit card company or the IRS or a utility company, or even the phone calls where they state that, you know, their loved one's in an accident, don't act right away. Don't immediately go into a panic mode and start giving out bank information or giving out any types of information. What we tell people and what we like to post on our Facebook is stop, take a deep breath, and just think about what the person just said to you on the phone.
That's great advice, by the way.
You know, you know, especially with our elderly, you know, they get a phone call, you know, your grandson's been in an accident, or I have your grandson, you need to send $500 right away or you won't see them again. Our elderly people tend to panic right away with news like that, and they'll start the process of sending money. Just stop, take a deep breath, call another family member, call the loved one that they claim they might have, call the police department. You know, our dispatchers will be happy to assist you with calls like that. Some of the things we've been seeing in Chicopee, our most recent one was someone sending out phone calls and text messages claiming to be with our Polish National Credit Union, stating that their account was compromised or that their debit card isn't working and that they need to call back a phone number and enter in all their information to activate it again.
We received a few phone calls this week, in fact, on Monday,
Right.
about the same, and I had already read about it on Mass Live and the local newspaper, so definitely I confirmed that it was a scam, but I'll let you continue.
And it's a shame because, again, the Polish National is a local hometown bank. A lot of our elderly people use that bank, and they automatically go, oh no, I have to act on this. You know, we try to spread the word through the Facebook, you know, a lot of things like we were talking before. If I have a copy of a scam letter, a scam utility, anything like that, I will post it to our Facebook page so that people can print it. And, you know, for those who have elderly parents that are concerned, they can print that out, put it in the home next to the phone as like a checklist. You know, these things are happening, to try to make people more aware.
That's wonderful. And would you encourage your viewers, our viewers, to pass along this information? Share the Facebook page with others.
Absolutely.
Like it.
Yes, like it. We are actually at about 4,200 likes right now.
Isn't that great?
We're climbing. And part of when our police chief Cheb got into office, part of what he wanted to do was to make things more transparent in the city and to get the public more in tune with the police department, to work together, have a good cooperative relationship. And through the Facebook and the Twitter, we're working together, you know, getting this information out there, and people are sharing it with their relatives and their loved ones. You know, some of the scam information I put out, it's reaching 6, 7, 8,000 people.
Isn't
And
that
that's
great?
what we want. We
That's
want people to
wonderful.
become aware of this so that they don't become a victim.
Right. As I said, our motto is education is the best prevention.
Absolutely.
Little did I know 14 years ago when I came up with that motto for our office that it was going to be so relevant in today's society.
Right, and it is.
Because it really is. And of course, Twitter and Facebook was not as popular back then as it is now. And we're using these wonderful tools that are available to us, social media,
Right.
to educate consumers. And I know a lot of people still are not on Facebook or Twitter. They have other options. What are those options besides the newspaper? Can you think of any that you can suggest to consumers? Let's say the elderly, they're not on Facebook. Although I have to say, a lot of them are now
they're on there
because
now.
they're connecting with their distant relatives.
Right. What we try to do, and our police department has a great working relationship with all our local media. I talk to most of the reporters on a daily basis. We get notified of a scam, I immediately put it out, as you said, on Twitter, on the Facebook, and I send it to them so that they do run it on their newscasts. And for those people that may not do the Facebook, may not have the Twitter, they watch the news.
Exactly.
And so it gets out there. And again, our readers to our Facebook page have been fantastic in sharing the information to those people who aren't on Facebook.
I have to say that I have to agree that most consumers, if not the majority of them, are finally getting the message. Buyer beware, consumer beware, there's scams out there. So they're a little bit more vigilant now than they were years back.
Right.
And that's because of us doing our job, educating them, empowering them, helping them build a strong backbone. And so I thank you for that because, I love your Facebook page and your Twitters. I mean, your tweets are just wonderful. There's a lot of other local law enforcement offices. Springfield has a great Twitter account as well, and I believe Wilbraham does. So I follow them all, and I'm looking to connect with all of them. And again, I'm so glad you're here today because you're sharing such great information. Let's fast forward to identity theft, the fastest growing crime in America.
Yes.
I hear about them every month. The victims that we meet in our office are people who have not just a credit card scam, someone has used their credit card number, but actually have become a victim of cloning. So someone is pretending to be them.
Right.
What have you heard about at your station at the Chicopee Police Department? And also, what advice do you give consumers? What steps should they take if they learn they're a victim of identity theft?
Well, we get a lot of calls for identity theft where people will discover they get a bill, a Verizon cell phone bill or a Sprint cell phone bill or a Macy's credit card bill that they never had. What we do is we will take a report for the people at our police station, and then we advise them to go to the state website to fill out the identity theft forms. One of the biggest things I tell people, because I will get messages privately on the Facebook, I was a victim of this, I was a victim of that, I found out somebody was this. The number one thing I tell people is run credit reports. Run credit reports on yourself. Do it as much as you can. Take advantage of all the companies that are out there. Run the free credit reports and keep an eye on it, because that's going to be the best way for you to tell if somebody is using your identity. And if you discover someone's using your identity, you need to call your accounts. You need to cancel your accounts, close them, change them, cancel your bank account numbers. One thing that we've been running into is that some of our citizens are getting calls from places saying they're going to help clean out their computer if their computer is running slow. Now, everyone who has a computer, after 2-3 months, it's running slow. It's just the way it happens. So people get that phone call, I bet your computer's running slow, you must have a lot of stuff in there, we can help you. And people will go, oh, okay, and they'll open their computer to access. These people can access the computers remotely and get information. So one of the things I tell people is take your computer to a computer shop and have it cleaned. Have it checked and cleaned, because once they're in, they're going to stay in. Even if you change your information, they still have that access to get in.
Or they wipe it clean and then no one can get in after that. That's another thing that they do. And if you keep personal information, and for example your bills on your computer, because you scan them and download them, or you get the emails that way, all your information has been compromised. So I'm glad that you encourage your residents to request their credit report. I like to refer them to their 3 free credit reports through annualcreditreport.com. That is the only website that has no strings attached, no commitments, and they do get all 3 for free. And again, that's annualcreditreport.com. And consumers should definitely take advantage of that and get their credit reports and monitor their credits. And also want to encourage consumers that are victims of identity theft to place a fraud alert immediately on their credit file to prevent any further harm.
Right.
Even if they suspect they could be a victim, immediately take action after you step back and breathe, as
Right.
you said.
Step back, take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath, and then take action and place the fraud alert.
Right.
And that'll give you some breathing time to then continue on and doing all the steps that you have to take.
Right.
So thank you for that information. We talked about a lot of important things, but another thing that I like to talk about is skimmers.
Right.
If we can talk about skimmers.
Yes. We actually, knock on wood, have not had any reports of that in the city of Chicopee. However, I did post an informational video on our Facebook of skimming. You know, one of the one that I saw was someone who has the app on their phone that someone uses the keypad at like a Walmart or something like that, and they can actually take a picture and it shows the heat print of your fingers. And the way they can do it is they can tell by the photo the last number you touched back to the first number, so they can get the actual sequence of your PIN number. One thing I do personally, and I've been telling everybody I know, is when you enter your information on a keypad, when you're done, just use your finger and go through the keypad a couple times. So if there is someone behind you and they do get up to take a picture, they're just going to see all the numbers touched.
Well, you know, it's funny how you said there's an app for them to download and use their phone as a skimmer. I use a phrase now that says there's a scam for that. Because there's an app for that, well, there's also a scam for that.
Right.
And you know, it's funny because now there's an app that you can download on a smartphone, and I'm not going to identify which one it is, that you can also use your phone as a skimmer. So if you're at the mall and let's say you carry all your credit cards on you, someone carrying their smartphone that has downloaded that app can swipe your purse and download or skim, actually, is what they do. All the information on the magnetic strip gets downloaded onto their phone.
Wow.
And that's how they make a copy of your card. So that's another form of becoming a victim of identity theft. So I brought with me today 2 different things that consumers can use to protect themselves from becoming a victim of a skimmer. And I'm not sure if you've seen these or not.
I have the wallet.
You have the wallet?
I do. When I travel, when I go on vacation, I do use the wallet.
Yeah, well now, that's a bulky one. Now they make them even more sophisticated and thinner. So if you don't want that bulky thing in your pocket, which some people carry a lot of credit cards, so they want to use it for more things than just their credit cards. But now they have a sleeve that's an RFID protection.
That's great.
So RFID, radio frequency identification, most consumers don't know that, and that's what you want to protect yourself.
Right.
That's what you want to protect on your credit card is the RFID, the magnetic strip in the back. If you don't want to go through the trouble or the expense, if you can't afford it, there's a secret. Do you know what it is?
No.
Aluminum foil.
Really?
If you just wrap the credit card with aluminum foil, it works the same as this and that and everything else on the market.
Outstanding. That's great.
Yes, and I tell seniors that, yes, that it really is. So we're going to take a break, and when we return, we will continue talking about really important consumer information and scams that are targeting our area. So stay close by, and we'll be right back. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Attorney General Martha Coakley. Our office can be a resource for residents across the Commonwealth on a variety of issues, from consumer complaints to wage and hour violations to information on identity theft, home foreclosures, and energy costs. We also have regional offices throughout the state. For more information, visit our website at mass.gov/AGO or call us at 617-727-8400.
So during tax season, during the holiday season, scams flourish. And I'm sure you're hearing about them because we're hearing about them. And I'm sure that you have lots of great advice to give and stories to share with our viewers. So could you please do that?
We do. You know, one of the things that we talk about, you know, people will ask about, you know, how am I safe when I park at a mall or if I go shopping inside a mall and come out with packages. The number one thing, when we have a lot of breaks into vehicles, changes stolen, GPSs, things like that, the number one thing we hear is, I left my car unlocked because I didn't want someone to damage it to get in. No. Lock your car. People are not smashing windows anymore. They're not breaking locks. They're looking for unlocked cars. If they find an unlocked car, they open it, they take your stuff, they walk on to the next car. If your car is locked, they're going to leave it alone. People will say, well, it's really, really busy at the mall, so it's probably safer. It's not safer. When you have a lot more cars parked and a lot more people, no one's going to pay attention to someone walking to their car or going to another car. You know, if you have 5 cars in a parking lot and someone's going from car to car, they're going to be noticed. But when the way the malls fill up and the local stores with cars, people don't notice as much. If you go into the store and you buy things, lock them in your trunk. If you have a vehicle that doesn't have a trunk, bring some type of a blanket or coats or something. You know, put the items in the back seat on the floor, cover them up, and make sure you lock your doors. Another thing we're telling people that we're seeing is people are now following FedEx trucks and UPS trucks. And for those people who shop on Cyber Monday and order items, you know, they're getting delivered to their houses. People know this. You know, in the week, two weeks after Cyber Monday, they follow UPS and FedEx trucks and pick up packages when they're left. One thing I've been telling people, you know, you get a tracking number when you purchase something, when it's being delivered, whether it's FedEx, whether it's UPS, whether it's the Postal Service. Watch that tracking number. Find out when your item is to be delivered. Either be there during the time frame if you can. If not, notify your neighbors or have someone that could possibly pick it up. You know, companies like UPS, you can log in and sign in, change your delivery date. Have it brought to your place of work if you can. Or if it's something that you're really concerned about, request a signature, pick it up at the UPS office. You know, that's the best way to protect yourself in those circumstances when you're getting things shipped.
That's great. Now I want to go back to when you said about the mall, because I've seen people already this holiday season load up their trunk, put their bags in the trunk, and go back into the mall.
Right.
Big mistake, wouldn't you say?
Well, if they're in the trunk, I wouldn't worry as much because it's in a closed trunk. But again, the people who don't have trunks, you know, hatchbacks, minivans, pickup trucks, you have to do something to cover those items, you know. And again, we can't stress this enough. We stress this on our Facebook. We stress this to people. Our officers on the street stress this. Lock your doors. That is the best deterrent.
My concern is that if someone is watching, and we know how criminals think, they are always thinking and figuring out a way. Well, people are putting things in their trunk, so let's go and just sit in the parking lot and watch someone put things in their trunk and then go smash and grab.
Right. You don't see a lot of that anymore, especially with the window smashes and stuff, because they don't want to draw attention.
Ah, that's good
They
to know.
don't, especially if the parking lot is crowded and there's a lot of people. You know, they're going to draw attention to that smashing a window. So that's why, again, we say over and over and over, lock your door.
See, I lock my door, I put my things in my trunk, and then I leave the parking space.
Right.
I drive around and park elsewhere.
There you go. That's a
And that
great
way
idea.
I have total peace of mind knowing that
Yep.
if someone was watching me put the things in my trunk, they're not going to get my things.
Right, that's a great
So
thing. Yep,
that's what
move
I
your
do.
car, that's
move the
awesome.
car. Yes, you are going to lose that perfect parking spot, but at least you know that when you return, if you move the car, your bags will be
Right.
there and your car
Yep.
will be safe.
That's great.
So that's what I would recommend.
Excellent.
But that's my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's really good. That's a great thing.
And the FedEx, I mean, I had not heard about that scam, but
Yeah.
last year we did get, several complaints about similar situations where consumers' items were delivered and they went missing.
Right.
And if you don't have the insurance on it, especially if you're shipping a gift
Right.
to a family member, pay the extra money, especially if it's something that's expensive and
Right.
you worked hard to earn the money to buy that gift.
Exactly.
Insure it, pay the extra dollars and
Right.
have the item insured because there's no guarantee that it's going to get there.
Right, and and to be perfectly fair too, these delivery companies, they're busy.
Very busy.
They are running from place to place to place, so they don't have the time to kind of hide it. You know, like they could during the off season, during the off holiday season. So work with them. You know, work with the companies and work with your friends and your neighbors.
That's great. That's great advice. And again, I liked how you suggested that if you work and you know you're not going to be home till after dark, after 5 o'clock,
Right.
and the shipment is expected in the morning hours, you certainly don't want that package sitting on your
No.
front steps.
No.
So have it delivered to your job. Have it delivered to a family's home
Right.
where
You can
there's
do that
maybe-
online. You can log into these companies and you can change your I mean, it might take another day or two, but you can change your delivery location.
I suspect we're going to hear a lot of different scams. I mean, every day it seems like we hear about them every day.
Right.
But at least once a month, there's a new scam.
Right.
There's some type of a new scam. And that's what I want to prevent consumers from becoming a victim. We always wanted them to be a step ahead, even though that's kind of difficult
Right.
with all the scam artists that are out there.
I actually I posted a photo on our Facebook back some time ago. there was a photo taken from overseas, and it showed a group of scammers and how they operate. And there was about 8 to 10 scammers on separate computers in one room,
Wow.
working their scams. And that's what they do all day. They sit and they just work and work and work until they latch onto somebody and get what they want.
And that's exactly what they do when they skim a credit card number. They download enough of them and then they sell them on a website.
Right.
And then once they know the FBI or the police are onto them, they shut down the website and
Right.
that's it. But your information is out there.
Right, and it's extremely difficult. A lot of times with identity theft, we will tell people, a lot of these scams and these identity theft operations come from overseas. We have no jurisdiction to act upon that. So if you do fall victim to something like that, it's extremely difficult for us to take any type of action other than to basically take a police report, help you change all your information, and work with your banks or your credit companies to establish that it wasn't you.
That's great. That's good to know. And consumers should definitely reach out to the police department because they are a source and
Yes.
they know where to refer their residents to for further help and
Right.
further advice. And I hope now you know that we are their local consumer program.
absolutely.
So if they need further information, they need help, they have an issue, whether it's consumer related or in a case of identity theft and they need further guidance. A lot of times the consumers that we meet and we talk to on the phone are overwhelmed when they are a victim of identity theft, rightfully so. I mean, your information has been compromised. And
You're violated.
exactly, and
You're violated.
exactly, and that it's a very uncomfortable feeling. So when consumers are told you need to do this, do this, do this, they hear it, but they don't comprehend it.
Right.
And they find themselves at a loss. Like, what do I do? Where do I go? And so they have the incident report on record. They have a copy of it, but they don't know what else to do. And they think that that's all they need to do.
Right.
They forget that there's other steps that they must take. Unfortunately, it's the victim of identity theft that has to do all the work to
Right.
clear their good name.
Right.
And
A
most
report is a
consumers don't know
Band-Aid.
that. Exactly.
The bleeding is still there. You need to take other action to stop it.
Right, and consumers need to know that there is help out there. We may not be able to do the work for them, but we can give them the guidance and the support they need. And that's what they need to know, that they have law enforcement working to help them, and they have local consumer programs throughout the Commonwealth that are there to help as well. So
That's
I'm
great.
glad that we met and that we have all this.
It's a good cooperative working effort.
It is, and I know that other police departments that are watching and will be watching will also want to be a part of this as well. So this is wonderful, and I'd like for it to expand bigger as
Yes.
well. So spoofing devices, can we talk about spoofing devices for a moment?
Yeah, a lot of times, we'll get phone calls from people stating that I received a phone call and it came up on my caller ID as Chicopee Police, or it came up as IRS, or it came up my own name and phone number. What we tell people, there are devices out there that you can purchase that you could set up with basically any name or phone number that you want, and then be gone. You can set up a phone number in Chicopee and name it Chicopee Police Department, for example, and move to England and still use that device that will come up Chicopee Police Department.
Now that's really spooky.
It is, and the advice that we say to people, if you get a phone call that says Chicopee Police or IRS or even your own name, your own phone number, again, step back, take a deep breath, call us. Call the police department and say, hey, I just got this phone call. The IRS scams that are going on where they're saying, you have to pay us $1,700 or the police will come arrest you. No police officer in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and I'm pretty sure the United States of America, is going to come to your house and arrest you on behalf of the IRS for an overdue tax bill. That will not happen.
I'm so glad
ever.
you said that. Thank you.
That will not happen. The police are not there to come arrest you if there's a tax dispute or if there's a utility dispute. Those are civil matters handled between agencies. The police don't go out and take action upon that, because that's one of the things that's happening now. I have a phone call, if I don't pay this, the police are going to come. We will not come to your house and force you. No police are going to come and pick up money. No police are going to come and pick up a check. That's all false information.
Thank you so much for adding those words, because I'm sure a lot of consumers watching right now are going to find those words very comforting to them, because they are getting those phone calls, and they will probably continue to get them. So just remember what Officer Wilk just said, and that is to, step back and
Take
they're
that deep
not
breath.
they're not going to come and arrest you. So
Right. We're not
thank
going
you.
to come get anybody. And please, if someone does call you and say that, and you do have a concern, call us. You know, I know this is being seen throughout the Commonwealth. Call the police department in the community you're in and speak to them, and put your mind at ease by talking to your police department.
And talk to a family member as well. Sometimes, especially the seniors, they tend to lock up a little bit,
Right.
and they get so much fear, and they're embarrassed or they're afraid, and they don't know who to share it with.
Right.
And they should talk. They should have a confidant. They should have a family member, an advocate that they can talk to, whether it's at their local senior center, a neighbor, a relative, a police officer. I mean,
Right.
there should be someone that they can talk to if they feel that if someone is putting fear in them and they're feeling threatened. They should definitely reach out and talk about it.
Right. We're fortunate in our police department. We have a crime prevention bureau under the guidance of Lieutenant John Pronovost, and he attends meetings with seniors at senior housing, our senior center, and he speaks on all of this to tell them, look, call us. You know, in this economy, it's tight for everyone, especially for seniors who are kind of on a fixed income. So when they get notified that they are potentially the winner of $100,000 or, you know, $250,000, all you need to do is pay the taxes of $5,000 and then the money will be awarded to you. It sounds good, especially to someone who is on a fixed income. Again, stop, think about it. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Exciting.
And again, you know, talk to a family member. You know, for some people, if you're uncomfortable calling a police department or anything like that, we have our Facebook, we have our Twitter. They're going to put a graphic up to show the information.
Yes, they are.
Send us a message. You know, all the messages that go to the Facebook, I read and I respond to. So if you feel uncomfortable calling send a message. If you have a picture of something that was sent, send me a message with a picture and I'll be glad to help.
That's great. Great advice. Also, I want to add, we talked about the seniors, but let's talk about the young people. They think that they're untouchable. They think, oh, nothing's going to happen to me. They put themselves out there on social media. What advice would you give young people?
Reel it in. Bring it in a little bit. You know, in this day and age of social media, and years ago I worked as a school resource officer when it was MySpace, you know, and kids were all over it with everything. We would go into the schools and we would show people, you know, putting a little bit of basic information for the person who's out there, that's, let's say, like an online predator or someone, the smallest of information they can run with. You know, there was at one time there was a thing where we had an online predator that was corresponding with kids through messages, and something as simple as, especially in the city of Chicopee, you know, what's your zip code? Because I have this really cool weather program that shows radar and stuff, you know, about the weather. And these kids would give out their zip code. Well, in Chicopee, you've now narrowed it down to one half of the city by giving out a zip code. You know, kids put pictures of everything they do. You know, they'll take pictures, the selfies in their room. Well, they don't know that behind them could be a trophy or a photo of a school event or a sports team they played for. They're giving out all that information. And it's not uncommon now that these identity theft people are using kids
That's what I was waiting for you
and
to say.
using their social security numbers and just kind of altering the date of birth to open accounts. And when kids are turning 18, they're applying for credit cards or loans only to discover that there's stuff already on their credit report. Just all I can say, you know, and it's hard because it's kids, you know, and kids are going to do what kids are going to do. Just reel it in.
I hope you enjoyed today's program, and I hope you found it informative and empowering. If you like what you heard and want to stay informed, I encourage you to follow us on Twitter at Springfield LCP. You can also find many resources and information on our website at springfieldcityhall.com. But most importantly, you may reach us at 787-6437 if you wish to ask a question or speak to a mediator. Thank you for watching the Consumer Toolbox. Have a safe and happy holiday, and I'll see you again next year.